Hey guys, this is HiK-Upp from the future, and I'm doing this really quick before the podcast episode starts because I fucked up and didn't realize that my mic wasn't properly set up and chosen on Audacity to record my voice. So for like the first, I want to say like 15 minutes or 15 to like 17 minutes of the actual podcast, the audio sounds really like muffled. It doesn't sound as good. It sounds like some of the older stuff before I got the mic, just because it was recording off the microphone from the actual computer rather than my microphone. I notice it because I check throughout the podcast, like when I'm recording, like time to time I just stop and just listen through to make sure everything's cool. And I noticed that, and I didn't want to go back and restart the 17 minutes just because I was already in it, and I was already into it, and we were in the middle of the whole Yu Yu Hakusho retrospective part, so I didn't want to have to stop and redo it. I feel like I wouldn't have as much feeling put into it as I normally do. So just heads up, the audio's going to sound a little for like the first 15 minutes or so, but once you hit, well, with this added on, so once the podcast starts, it's like 17 minutes of that, so you can fast forward ahead. I think it'll be like 20 minutes in, and it should be good. I acknowledge it during that point too in recording. This is just me like a few days later, while I'm editing a little bit. Just putting this up to let you guys know. Sorry about that. Okay, enjoy. Excuse the anxiety. Okay. Look. You got me thinking if it was really worth it, putting in all of this effort just to end up less than perfect. But aren't our great defenses something used for our protection? Or are they just another way to force out imperfections? I guess I'm just defective, pointed in the wrong direction. The library in my head is one fucked up selection. Now children pay attention, and you'll receive attention, cause after this, I'll ask you an array of questions. A simple poster is just another banner, another campaign slogan, making unique blander in the taste inside my mouth. Is it making it any better? Bitter sweetness of arguments and cold December weather. But anywho, who am I? Who are you? And if we're on the subject matter, what the fuck you gonna do? Cause when the shit hits the fan, are you going to take a stand? I prefer if you stay put, keep on holding my hand. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another week of the 40 Hours Fridays quarantine podcast, I guess. I've been stuck inside forever now. This shit is annoying. But this is episode 38. 38. It is 38. I made sure. I checked before I started recording, and I still forget. I always forget. Now I'm gonna fucking... Now I'm like questioning my own memory. Let me double check. This is indeed episode 38, because last week was episode... Jesus, dude. Okay, this is episode 38. I'm back downstairs in the living room again, but hopefully everything sounds a little better this time. But again, sorry for any background noise you may hear. Hopefully the background music can kind of like muffle it out, because I'm closest to the mic, so you'll be able to hear me and less of like the background noises that get accidentally caught in the audio from like outside and upstairs. I think it's easiest in my room. I should just try to set up my closet, like a space in my closet to like sit down and record in, just so I can get the least amount of... But then my neighbors are kind of like loud sometimes, and you can hear it against the wall on the other side. I'll figure it out. But anywho guys, welcome back to another week. Hope everyone's still, chilling, healthy, staying indoors so we can be over this and go back to normal life. I have worked a total of 4 hours in like the last 2 weeks, I think. So yeah, your boy broke. But I got enough money saved up to be alright, so it's all good. At the same time though, I've been managing to use my free time properly. I've been, working on comic book stuff, and I'm thinking of me and my illustrator, my buddy Johnny. are thinking of making kind of like a tabletop-esque game based around the story of Another Random Tale. So the game with the theme being Another Random Tale, pretty much. I've been working on some basic stuff here and there, so, you know, since I've been at home usually most of the time, I have, like, plenty of time to work on that, figure that stuff out. Been working on some music stuff. I got my my good friend, he's gonna send me some recordings of him playing guitar, certain shit, so we can get things going and work on that stuff too. You know, might as well. And mainly I've caught up on shows. I finished It Invaded. Maybe I'll talk about that. I wonder, I still have to watch the last episodes that dropped from Inspector and Keep Your Hands Off Izuken. We still haven't talked about Keep Your Hands Off Izuken. I think what I'll probably do is, I don't know, I think episode 11 is the newest episode of Inspector. So depending on how long that season is, whether it be like a 13 episode kind of season or a 26, because It Invaded was 13. They just aired their last episode a few days ago. Whether that be the last episode for this season, I don't know if they'll make another season or not. That show's alright. I'll probably talk about that in Inspector within like the same podcast, just kind of back to back, because I like those shows a lot. Keep Your Hands Off Izuken will probably get its own like podcast episode though, because I really love that show. I was gonna watch that and Inspector the other day, but I couldn't get on my Xbox Live keeps going down, so I couldn't get on Crunchyroll. And I could go on my PlayStation and do it, but then there's the fact that, you know, my brother uses the PlayStation a lot, and also I have to log into Crunchyroll account on that. It is a lot of steps that I feel like going through, so I'll probably just eventually just sit down and watch it on my phone. But I gotta watch that. But I love that show. That's still probably my favorite show this year so far. Keep Your Hands Off Izuken. But we'll have podcast episodes for those. But I've also been playing games. I've been playing one game specifically. Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Better late than never that I hopped on that. That game is fucking awesome. And that's pretty much what I'm gonna be talking about. Sorry, I got over my cough and stuff, but now my nose is like... It's because I had a bunch of coffee and like food just now, so it's like bleh, everywhere all over the place. But I'm gonna be talking about mainly part 1 of Golden Deer House, because that's all I've completed so far. I'm like, I think I just got to chapter 16 in Verdant Wind for the part 2 of the Golden Deer House. But I'll talk about that once I finish that whole like second half. But I'll go over the first part, like part 1, pretty much, and my thoughts and how I feel about the game and all that good stuff. But some quickie things. Animal Crossing New Horizons released, and I feel like it released at the perfect time, because since people are in quarantine, they've been finding things to preoccupy their time with, especially with New Horizons. I know people have been seeing like the stuff on Twitter and on Facebook and stuff of all the cool little QR code downloads for like special little designs for clothes and hats and just other cool shit. Like there was like a design on the ground, and it was like I believe it was the Street Fighter 2, like the OG Street Fighter 2 character select. I was like, yo, that's fucking cool. Like and people are like finding ways to hang out with each other through the game. Like people were like just chilling like they normally would, but in Animal Crossing, people hosted like little mock graduations on it. Somebody got married on it. They had to cancel their wedding due to the whole quarantine thing, so they just did a little cute wedding in Animal Crossing. I thought that shit was really neat. So, yes, the savior has come at the right time. I do not have New Horizons. I'll probably get it sooner or later, but I have so many games I'm about to play. Like, even when I finish this first route of Fire Emblem, I still have technically 3 other routes, because I know that the Black Eagle route splits into 2 routes. I don't know what the thing about that is, but one of my friends let me know. It's like, yeah, you kind of have another option in the Black Eagle route. I won't tell you, but it kind of splits into two depending on where you go. So I know there's I know part 1 is White Clouds always, and then part 2, depending on your house, if you're Golden Deer, you get Verdant Wind. If you're Blue Lion, you get Azure something, and if you're Black Eagle, you get Crimson Flower or Silver Snow or something like that. I don't know the exact details, I just know the route names. I haven't been spoiled in the details yet. Thankfully, I haven't been spoiled on any plot details of Three Houses, which I think is awesome. I don't know what Silver Snow infers or implies. Maybe it has something to do with the church. But I clearly understand Verdant Wind goes with Golden Deer because I'm playing that. Crimson Flower clearly goes with Black Eagle. And then the Azure clearly goes with Blue Lions. Duh. But, so yeah, there's that. And I was playing the DLC. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I've been mainly playing that. And then Final Fantasy VII Remake is very close. It's the 25th. We got a couple more weeks. So I'm gonna be on that. And then Persona 5 Royale I'll probably play after. So I still got plenty of routes to play. My whole plan for Three Houses is I'm gonna play Golden Deer, then I'm gonna play Blue Lion. Then I'm gonna play the Black Eagles for their routes, and then once I've done all the routes, I'm gonna try to do like a fifth, like final like playthrough, but just kind of like my ideal playthrough of like recruiting everyone I want to recruit and doing that, and which house I want to pick. I love the Golden Deers, but I don't know if they're gonna be like my final choice for a house when I do that like kind of true playthrough thing for me. I still have to play the other two houses and see how I feel about it first. But yeah, that's my whole plan. And then, dude, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm so excited. As of now, still, Square Enix has confirmed that the remake is still releasing on April 10th. So there have been no delays. There might be problems with like shipments, depending on what happens with this whole virus situation. But I might get it digital. I know certain GameStops are still doing curbside pickup, so it is possible to get a physical copy. Like, you can just order it on the phone, go down to GameStop, and like they'll just hand it to you outside of the store. Because I kind of want that case. Like, I'm not usually the type of person who cares about digital or physical. I'll get one or the other. It doesn't really matter to me. Whatever happens, happens. But with Remake, since FF7 holds like a really special place in my heart as one of my all-time favorite games, and the reason why I got into like RPGs and storytelling, I kind of want that case, like just to have that. Just like, oh, that's neat as fuck. I kind of want that steelbook. So I'll see what happens. Amazon's still shipping it. They said it's still shipping by April 10th. So maybe I'll just order it on Amazon and have it brought to me, so I don't even have to leave the house. I don't know, but I'm hyped for that. Doom Eternal also came out. I've been hearing good things about Doom Eternal. I think it's the fact that Animal Crossing is so relaxing, it works out better for a quarantine thing than Doom Eternal, while we're seeing more memes about it. But I heard Doom Eternal slaps, so that's good. And the 2016 Doom was fucking awesome, so I kind of expected that. What else is going on? I haven't had my ear to the ground on like news, just because I've been chilling playing games. So if anything else pops to mind, I'll probably like sidetrack myself into a conversation about it. But let's just move into the Yu Yu Hakusho review, our retrospective, and then we'll talk about White Clouds for the Golden Deer house and Three Houses. So for the Yu Yu retrospective episode 11, it is Hard Fights for Yusuke, because this is a Yusuke double feature fight episode. So when we last left off last week, we had done the first 3 fights of the quarterfinals for Genkai's successor tournament kind of thing. And the first match, we had Kazamaru go up against Kuroda, and Kuroda got fucking completely obliterated in the darkness by a blast of energy. We had Kuwabara go up against, what's his name? Musashi. Yeah, the sword dude. Where my guy, the goat that is Kuwabara awakened his legendary spirit sword and just one shot obliterated Musashi. And then third match we had Shorin versus, I know his name now because they said it at the end of the last episode about all the people that have lost in the tournament so far. Chinpo. Fuck Chinpo. I don't care about him, but that's his name. He got beaten by Shorin, aka Rando, which they finally find out is Rando at the end of this episode 11. And then we left off with Yusuke getting his ass beat by Kibano in the final quarterfinal match. Both of them have abysmal spiritual awareness, so they weren't able to really see each other in the dark. Excuse me. Or sense each other, for that matter. However, Kibano had a special little helmet he made that cuts off his 5 senses and pretty much enhances his spiritual awareness. So he doesn't need those senses because he can always fill out Yusuke's crazy amount of energy. So it leaves off exactly where it was. Yusuke's getting beat up, trying to figure out a way to, move in and get the clean shot on Kibano. And they don't really know exactly what they should do. Kuwabara, when I say they, I mean like Kuwabara, Botan, the onlookers. They're kind of watching out, feeling out the fight. Like, what should we do? What should he do? Like, Kuwabara's, yelling his like, "Come on, Urameshi, you gotta win." So Yusuke doesn't know what to do. He feels kind of stuck. And then Genkai mentions that though Kibano has his little spirit senses helmet, all his other senses are still cut off. So if Yusuke could only see, he'd be able to take the advantage because, according to Genkai, Kibano doesn't notice that Yusuke's energy is rising in response to desperation in the fight. So Yusuke then gets a little idea in his head. They don't tell you what it is, but he kind of thinks like, if only I can, get in close enough to pull it off. So Kibano then pops up out of the shadows, hits Yusuke in the face with like a hard right. Yusuke grabs his arm and locks him in. And he's like, look, now I'm going to break your arm. So now it's close quarters combat. So it doesn't matter if he can see or not. In his head, he can take him on because they're now like in contact. Kibano shuts that shit down real quick. Kibano hits him with another one of the greatly named OG dub moves, the Bonsai Missile. Or the Bonsai Thrust. I'm pretty sure he called it the Bonsai Missile. And they show like the official Japanese translation in the subtitles, which I very much appreciate. I think it's called like Cutting Throwing Whirlwind or something like that. But I guess, that doesn't translate well into English. That sounds weird. So they were like, yeah, Bonsai Missile. Why not? Bonsai Throw. It pretty much, we're supposed to believe this is a real move. Bullshit. He picks Yusuke up and holds him up in the air over his head, spins him around, and then throws him. Like he's a fucking torpedo. And Yusuke spins into the ground. He looks like Kiba's tunneling fang from Naruto. You know how they like spiral around? That's how he made Yusuke look, as Yusuke smacks into the ground, I'm pretty sure back first. So Yusuke should be dead or very much crippled, but that is not the case. So bullshit, Kibano. I don't believe that's a real move. He's like, I'm a master of all forms of martial arts, and then whirls this nigga around the rope. Like, not even just like an over-the-shoulder kind of like with a little twist throw. It was like he held him above his head and spun him around a good 6 times, and then threw this nigga like a slingshot. Like it was ridiculous. But Yusuke then gets up again, barely standing though. He looks, a little weak in the knees, struggling to stand up. And Kibano hides in the darkness again, flexes out his disgusting muscles for another finishing blow. Hides in the dark. Yusuke's waiting to feel him out. And then you can hear the little sound effect of the spear gun charging up. and Kibano mistakes Yusuke charging up for him shaking or trembling. He's like, I can feel you trembling, and then he comes out from the dark to punch him, and Yusuke turns around point blank, shoots homeboy in the face. It was dope. So I hate my life. I just realized that I was not my microphone for some reason wasn't automatically set to be used to record, so I've been recording off whatever speaker the computer has, because I was playing it back to like listen to it really quick, and I was like, yo, why does this shit sound like that? Because my mic wasn't set for some reason. I don't understand why it wasn't. Usually when I plug it in, and open up Audacity, it just automatically sets the microphone up as the use to record, but for some reason it didn't now. Ugh. We're just gonna have to roll with it. It's been like 20 minutes. I could like re-record it, but I don't want to re-record it. Just a heads up for the sudden jump change in audio. Oh man. Just suck. Anywho, Yusuke got his ass thrown into the ground, and then Kibano, where was I? The whole Kibano running up and hitting him with trying to hit him with the final punch. Yes. Then he thought Yusuke was trembling. Yusuke's like, I'm not trembling, I'm powering up. Boom, shoots him with the spirit gun point blank, blows the helmet off his head, knocks him into the ground, and Kibano is defeated. And Kibano's kind of shook by this. He's like, how you do that? How you know I was coming from that direction? The lit cigarette, the epic foreshadowing. When Genkai threw the cigarette at Yusuke before the match started, it missed and bounced into the darkness of where they were fighting. So Yusuke had saw it at one point and was like, if I can get close enough, I can probably slip this on him, because it was still lit. Which he did. When Kibano ran up and Yusuke grabbed his arm, when Kibano was busy trying to, pick him up and throw him, Yusuke slid it under his little, belt. So then Yusuke just had to wait to see that light. And boom, saw him coming in the darkness, shot him. So Kibano's like, man, what the fuck? This nigga won out of pure luck. But passes out. Genkai declares Yusuke the victor. Koema has a nice little sigh of relief, I'm sure, and we immediately are moving into the semifinals. Only two suspects left. We have Kazumaru and Shorin. Now, if you watch a Yu Hakusho, you already know it's Shorin. But still, there's two suspects left as they move on to the semifinals, in which Genkai informs Yusuke that he will immediately be fighting again against Kazumaru in the first match of the semis. And Yusuke's not cool with this. He almost got completely broken apart dealing with Kibano, and he already has to fight again. Plus, he already fired his spirit gun, which he can only shoot once a day at this point. He's not trained enough to shoot it multiple times yet. Not yet. Not just yet. So they move on into the next field for the remaining fights, which is this weird looking swamp kind of battlefield. And you, like, people that are super spiritually aware, like Kuwabara, for instance, could see the spirits of all these dead warriors there, and Genkai informs them that it's a place where using spirit powers at the fullest is best, because you can kind of gather up more spirit energy around the area due to all the dead warriors being there and such and such. So Kazumaru's hyped as fuck for this. He's like, bro, I can feel that shit. And though Yusuke can feel a bit of his energy coming back, it's not nearly enough for him to charge up another spirit gun shot. Plus, he hasn't had time to rest. He immediately has to jump into the next fight. So as that fight's about to start, it cuts to Koema watching in Spirit World. And one of the ogres, it's a little cutaway gag. One of the ogres is like, yo, you got a phone call. And Koema's like, don't bother me right now. And he tries to, fake it off as an answer machine. But it was Big Man King Yema. Also, hashtag fuck King Yema. Or Enma. I think his name is Enma in this. I'm thinking of Yema from Dragon Ball. They're based off the same myth. But, yeah, it was King Enma calling him, and then immediately hangs up after that shit. So Koema's in trouble with that. So we have that whole little light-hearted gag right before this, I never noticed this before, but watching this episode, this shit made me laugh. Because it goes from that little gag, it cuts from that gag, back to the fight, and immediately the scene starts off with Kazemaru just punching Yusuke like 30 times in the face. Like, no transition, no warning, just cuts, and Yusuke's getting fucking blitzed. And I was just like, damn, dude, so we just jumping right into it. So Kazemaru's too fast and too skilled for Yusuke to land a shot on, so no matter what he does, Kazemaru is just able to avoid it, counter it, immediately start wailing on him. Yusuke can't do anything about it. He can't fire a spirit gun because he has no spirit energy. So Kuwabara, Yusuke's getting knocked around. Kuwabara shouts just like, "Come on, man, just charge it up in one attack." And Yusuke takes that advice to heart, is able to duck what looks like to be Kazemaru's finishing blow, and tries to throw a hard right at him. Right into his, or not a right, it's not even a hard right, it's more like an uppercut. Like he's trying, as he's getting up on his feet again to just chin check him. Kazemaru manages to dodge it, but the force of the punch, like, scratches his cheek. So Kazemaru's like, oh, I should not get near you. So I think this made me think, like, the thing I really like about most of the fights in Yu Yu Hakusho throughout the whole series aren't always, like, as clear cut as it seems. It's never just like, oh, you know, this person is just this much powerful than this person. Of course, with the whole Toguro thing, it was mainly all about power, but Toguro was all about power, so it's kind of hard to speak against that. But for the most part, a lot of people won their fights through either, like, outsmarting their opponent underestimating them, a little tricky technique they had under their sleeve to clear for the victory, or a combination of any of those things, which happens really often in Yu Yu Hakusho. It just shows you that sometimes skill just trumps strength. Like, Yusuke clearly, from that alone, Kazemaru could already see that in terms of just, like, physical strength, Yusuke has him beat. Like, Kazemaru even says, if that had hit me, I would have been finished. And at that point, he had already, like, laid hundreds of punches probably in the Yusuke at that point. And Yusuke could still one-shot him, essentially, if he got close enough. So it just shows, but Kazemaru is clearly the more trained fighter. He's a bodyguard. He's a ninja kind of thing going on. It's just like, oof. And then he has that blast of energy he can shoot from his palm, which is overwhelmingly stronger than the spirit gun. So it was just something I thought about. I was like, yeah, that kind of always happens. It's, and it kind of goes like, or in luck too. Like, a lot of Yusuke's fights early on have like this attribute of luck with them. For a lot of them, like the whole Goki thing. Luckily, Kurama didn't want to fight him. The whole thing of like, I hope this spirit gun shot bounces off the mirror, because Hiei was definitely more powerful than Yusuke at that point in that point in time. What happened with Kibano, what's happening with Kazemaru, all that stuff. A lot of luck plays into Yusuke's fights. A lot of underestimating plays into Kuwabara's fights, and then like tactics play into Kurama's, and then finally we have Hiei. Hiei kind of has like a combination of a lot of things, but Hiei's just kind of always usually the one that just be the stronger one that edges out victories. He's just always like, oh, Hiei's too strong. But there are moments where you see Hiei win because he busts out a different technique, or the enemy for some reason does underestimate Hiei, which makes no fucking sense. Why would you underestimate him? But it's a cool little detail, I think, that Togashi did a good job at. It wasn't always just like, oh, well, I'm just gonna win the fight, and then they just get some random power-up and win. A lot of the time, it's like, well, I'm gonna win, and maybe they do get kind of like that increase in spirit energy from their determination, like, especially with Yusuke and Kuwabara, but that alone usually never wins them the fight. It's more of like, okay, I have this kind of like adrenaline rush, let me figure out a way I can still win. So Shit like that. But I like that. So Kazemaru has to change up his strategy. So he pulls out some shuriken. I fucking... like I said, I love the Yu Yu Hakusho dub. I think it's fantastic in terms of, like, its actual voice acting and voice work. I think they, for the most part, nailed all the characters. Some of it's still an older dub, though. So, like I said, with a lot of the names, like fucking Big Arm Bomber and Bonsai Missile and all that shit. Like, some of the name moves are, like, really fucking stupid. But, I always hate this thing that dubs do, like older dubs. It doesn't happen nearly as often now. But when they say shit like in Naruto, when Naruto does his whole little ninja vow, and he's like, I swear on this kunai knife. I'm just like, nigga, you just said knife twice. Just say, like, that stuff bugs me because it's so unnecessary to be said. And this nigga Kazemaru pulls out shuriken and is like, shuriken throwing knives. I'm like, bro, just say shuriken. It always bugs me, even though I always know it's I always know it's coming. So it's just like one of those lines where I'm just like, ugh, God. The 90s were a different fucking time. Uncultured as hell, bro. But anywho, he pulls out the shuriken and throws him at Yusuke. Yusuke doesn't seem very impressed with this shit at all, and he easily dodges them. But then he's quickly notified by Kuwabara and Botan that the shuriken throwing knives, are coming back around to hit him again. And then Yusuke dodges him again, and he's like, okay, so they're kind of like boomerang knives. And Kazemaru's like, nah, son, it ain't like that at all. So the shuriken throwing knives, essentially lock in on a target's spirit energy, and they will keep spinning through the air and trying to hit the target, according to Kazemaru, for up to days. So Yusuke is running around trying to avoid these things, and then he gets the brilliant idea of like, hey, I'll run towards this tree, and at the last second jump out of the way. Shurikens get stuck in the tree, we're good. So he succeeds, and about maybe like one or two of them get stuck to the tree. And as he's jumping out of the way, this is another shot that makes me laugh. It's a cool shot, but it's so sudden and without warning, which is the intention. It's supposed to be without warning because you're supposed to be just as shocked as Yusuke is. It just makes me laugh because he's dodging the tree, or he's jumping out of the way so he doesn't hit the tree. The shuriken stick in. As he's in the air, it's kind of like this pause in time, or like this gap of just like him kind of floating as he dodges, and then the tree just explodes just out of fucking nowhere. It just like blows up, and he's like, God! He screams and goes flying, and I don't know why that shit is funny to me. I think it's just the fact that it's so sudden. It just out of nowhere. Like, if it's your first time watching Yu Yu Hakusho and you've never seen that before, like that's like, it's supposed to shock you, but it's just like, damn, like, shit, that looked like it hurt. But it's a cool shot nonetheless, because just the way it's set up, there's no warning that it's going to explode. It's just like, haha, I dodged it, and then all of a sudden that shit just blows up. So Yusuke hits the ground. He doesn't get caught in the full explosion, but he was close enough to get, flung through the air and hurt. And then Kazemaru's like, yo, my bad, bro, I forgot to tell you there's a gunpowder in the tip of every one of these shuriken and every blade of the shuriken. So even if he has them stick into something else, he'll always be too close, and then he'll get caught in the explosion. And if they hit him, then he's getting pierced by shuriken, and then they're gonna blow up and probably rip him to shreds. So Yusuke's just like, fuck, dude, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So Yusuke pulls a Kuwabara before Kuwabara pulled the Kuwabara. And I'm not talking about in the whole Chapter Black thing where Yusuke gives his life. Yusuke was about to go ahead and charge in full force at Kazemaru So the shurikens hit them both at the same time, and they both blew up and lost. Because in his head, on the off chance this is rando, they're fucked. Like, if he lives, he's going to win. There's no way they're getting around it. But if he can take them both out, and it is rando, then all Kuwabara has to do is beat Shuren, and Kuwabara can win the tournament and get his training from Genkai. So then Yusuke, like, runs over to Kuwabara, says, "It's up to you now." Then runs towards Kazemaru. Kazemaru is not very phased, and he's like, "Bro, if you come at me, I'm about to shoot you full force with this cannon of energy in my hand." So he charges it up and aims it, and Yusuke looks real determined. And as they're about to collide, Yusuke suddenly vanishes from sight. So Kazemaru is like, where the fuck did this nigga go? But his shurikens are still coming straight at him. And he's like, oh fuck. And he's like trying to hurry up and fire his energy palm blast. And then there's like a big explosion right in front of, in that vicinity. And afterwards you can see Kazemaru flying out, battered and bruised, and hits the ground. And he's out. He's done. So everyone's like, yo, what the fuck happened? Where did Yusuke go? So Kuwabara and Botan are looking for him. Kuwabara saying, you know, classic dumb Kuwabara shit. Just like, if he can turn invisible and nobody told me, I'm gonna be mad. And Botan's like, bruh, no. And then Kuwabara's just like, well, maybe he just jumped really high and hasn't come down yet. I'm like, this stupid nigga. But then they see Yusuke's hand, like, waving from, like, under the waters of one of the little swamp holes. And they pull him out. He's coughing up for, you know, air and stuff. And Kuwabara's just like, yo, that was actually pretty clever, like, at the last minute jumping into the swamp to hide from Kazemaru. And Yusuke was like, I didn't intend for that to happen. I fell. Like, so that nigga's plan was fully to rush Kazemaru and kind of suicide them both. But he slipped and fell into one of the swamp holes. And the shuriken still came at Kazemaru. Which Genkai explains why the shuriken still kept going towards Kazemaru's direction. It's because since he was charging up all that energy for his little palm spirit cannon attack, the shuriken got attracted to him because they were close enough to fill out his energy over Yusuke's, who fell in the swamp. So, through pure luck, Yusuke managed to have Kazemaru blow himself up, and Yusuke takes the W. And even Yusuke admits that, like, yo, that does kind of seem, like, fucked up and unfair. But Kuwabara then's like, dude, don't even worry about it. Like, this just makes up for your bad luck in drawing lots and getting back-to-back fights. Yusuke's like, you know what? You are absolutely goddamn right. I did win, didn't I? So Yusuke takes the W. He moves on to the finals. But that means there's only one potential suspect left who is actually rando. Because if Kazemaru's rando, he would have revealed himself at that point. Which means Shuren, of course, is rando. Yu Yu Hakusho super old. Of course, we already knew this. But I feel like they were kind of trying to hype up. If it's your first time reading or watching it, I still feel like it's very obvious that Shuren is rando. Or, like, if you're paying close enough attention, at least, it's obvious Shuren is rando. But it looks like it was intentionally being written to make you think Kazemaru was going to be the big villain. Because he seemed to be a threat. He was just as threatening as Kibano. He remarks, you know, Yusuke only beat Kibano out of luck because of that cigarette, which is fucking facts. It's true. Yusuke gets through all three of his fights in this tournament through sheer fucking luck. Which I love. I love that about the show. I love that it's not like some ass pull kind of power up thing. And you can get into the debate of like the Mazuku stuff from Chapter Black, whether that be an ass pull or not. I think it's actually, as far as retcons go, that's like one of the best retcons I've ever seen, personally, for me. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But in the case of especially a lot of the earlier fights, like the Season 1 and Season 2 stuff, the way the fights are written are so well executed, it's not like, oh, bullshit, he won that fight because of that. It's like, oh, okay, like, even Kuwabara's fights, like, when he gets his wins, he earns his wins. It's just like, that was actually clever, or like, they actually underestimated Kuwabara. Like, things like that. When Kurama wins, it's because he was playing you the whole fight in order to win. When Yusuke wins, it's a combination of him being incredibly naturally talented, but also luck is factored into those fights, which sometimes plays in his favor and gives him the edge to win. And then Hiei is just Hiei. Hiei's just always getting stronger. Hiei takes the straight, like, raw power route, but it's never bullshit, is what I'm saying. Like, all their power-ups are, like, earned. They make sense. All their tactics make sense. It fits with the characters, and I think Togashi does, like, a really brilliant job writing fights, because I never felt like someone winning or losing a fight was, like, bullshit. I mean, personally, you might feel that way, like with Kuwabara losing the Rinku. Like, he only lost because Rinku tied him up outside of the ring, because Rinku didn't want to fight anymore. Like, Rinku was, like, critically injured. Had that fight continued, this isn't me being a Kuwabara stan or anything, I fully believe had both of them got back in the ring after that exchange, Kuwabara would have won. Kuwabara got up like he wasn't even, like, phased after that final collision with them. And Rinku had, like, a hole in his stomach, trying to heal himself. He did not want to fight anymore. Like, even when Kuwabara technically lost the match due to countout, he was like, nah, bullshit, we not done. And he was ready to keep fighting. So I'm like, my feelings towards my favorite character aside, Kuwabara would have won that fight. But it makes sense why that stuff happens. It's not like, what an ass pull. I've never felt that way about Yu Yu Hakusho fights, honestly. Now, you may disagree with me, but that's personally how I feel. I think when it comes to, like, fights, Togashi is one of the best when it comes to writing fights. Maybe not, like, choreography 100%. A lot of the later fights, I'd say the choreography is fucking brilliant for his fights. The early stuff is very, like, classic shonen back and forth kind of thing. But when you get to, like, the Forsaken Beast and Tarukane's Stronghold, it gets better. The Dark Tournament fights are awesome. And the actual, like, major fights Chapter Black has, especially in terms of the anime, are beautiful. But when it comes to actually, like, writing the plot for a fight and, like, the background for a fight and the factors that take place that take place in a fight, I think Togashi is fucking masterful at it, because I never feel like, that was kind of weak. I always feel like, okay, yeah, like, that makes sense. Like, point A from point B to point C to whatever throughout a fight, it always flows correctly. Like, you can always, in your head, picture these characters taking the actions they're taking to win or lose or whatever happens. So, my gushing towards Togashi being an incredible writer aside, this episode is great. It just piggybacks and follows up off the whole last episode with the tournament. I believe, like, these are some of the best episodes in season 1. I definitely think. The whole, like, starting from the final 8 with the Genkai tournament thing. So last episode, this episode, and I believe the next 2 episodes it goes on for, 2 or 3 episodes. Pretty much the final 8 tournament, like the Genkai tournament, some of the best fights in episodes in season 1, hands down. The only thing I like, well, I can't even say that, because then I was going to say, and then the Forsaken Beast is really good. And I feel like once you get to the Genkai tournament fights, that's when, like, it really sets off. Like I said, I'm already pulled into the story of Yu Yu Hakusho. I got pulled in really easily because I think it's written really well. Even when the early episodes when there's no fighting. But now I'm roped into the story, so now once you get to the Genkai tournament stuff, it's just fights. From, like, then until the end of the series. And the fights are fantastic. So it's just like, this is where it sets off, where you're just like, woo! Alright, let's go. And it only took, like, 9-10 episodes. It's not a lot, especially since there are fights before that still, too. It's just the fact that, like, these episodes, the series really starts to kick off from there and for the rest of it. So I think this is just a fantastic section of episodes as a whole. Like, the anime did a good job making this arc. Like I said, the only thing I nitpicked is the whole next time on Yu Yu Hakusho, we clearly see Yusuke winning against they tell you Yusuke beats Kibano somehow. They don't tell you, but they tell you. So, but that's a nitpick about the next time kind of trailer things. All in all, I really like these episodes, as you can clearly tell. But moving on from that, I want to talk about Fire Emblem Three Houses before I wrap everything up. Earlier podcast, even before like Pokemon and stuff came out, before all those games came out, I did a podcast briefly talking about like games I was looking forward to. And I mentioned Three Houses. I believe Three Houses came out first out of all that list. All those on the list. I said Three Houses I wanted. I said the new Pokemon, Persona, remake. There's another one, wasn't there? I believe there were 5 of them. I don't know why I can't remember the 5th one. I feel like I played it. Oh, how did I forget? Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 11S, Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. One of the greatest games ever made. You should play it if you haven't played it. There's a demo on the Switch store. It's beautiful. It's a fantastic game. Play it. Play Dragon Quest. I will always sing the praises of Dragon Quest. But yeah, I said I wanted to get Fire Emblem Three Houses. I wanted to get Dragon Quest 11. I wanted to get Pokemon Sword and Shield. I wanted to get Persona 5 Royale. And I wanted to get the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So now I have 3 of those 5 done. Technically 2 are finished. That being Dragon Quest 11S. I have so much time logged into that world. I love that game. And I still have a bunch of stuff to do. It's just the fact that I keep wanting to play other games. I don't want to continue sitting and doing stuff. So I at least beat main game stuff and do some end game content before I move on to my next game. So I have a bunch of stuff put into that. Pokemon, same thing. I'm getting ready for the expansion to come out in June is when the first expansion comes out. So we're going to be getting into that. And I'm currently in part 2 of my Fire Emblem Three Houses first route playthrough, my Golden Deer playthrough. And then we're going to do, even though Persona 5 Royale comes out first, it comes out March 31st. That shit comes out in like 5-6 days. As of this recording. It comes out, this will be out on Friday, so it'll be less than that. But then the remake comes out April 10th. And I'm only going to have enough time or money to pick one at a time. So I'm going to play the remake first, just because it's been so long since I played FF7. And the remake is a new experience. Then once I'm done with the remake, I'll go to Royal and do another playthrough of Royal. Because I know I'll probably spend a lot more time in Royal than remake. Because they said 40-50 hours for remake. I'm like, okay. So I'll probably spend a little more time than that. Knowing me, I'm slow when it comes to playing RPGs. But I'll do that, and then we'll hop on Royal for like however long it takes. But anywho, I'm currently playing Three Houses. I'm glad I finally got to play it. I eventually was going to get it. I said I wanted it in my little top 5 list. Then I was like, I don't have time to get it because I can't afford it when it comes out. And by the time I probably will be able to buy it, Pokemon will be about to, a bunch of shit got in the way. And then I told you about the whole Walmart thing where they had the game on their little online store, like the digital code. It was the bundle for the game and the expansion pass for like $25 or $35 or something like that. And that whole thing where it was actually glitched. It wasn't the game plus pass bundle. It was just the pass. So then they gave me my money. They gave everyone their money back, but they also let us keep the DLC. So for like a couple of months, I was sitting on this expansion pass with no game. So I was finally one day, a few weeks ago, me and one of my coworkers, one of my buddies, we were at GameStop, and I was like, should I get it? Should I get it? I don't have the cash for it right now. And I was like, I do have my credit card, and I just paid my credit card off. It'd be easy to just pay off $60, which I've already paid off too. So it's just like, it was worth it. It was a worthy investment. I questioned myself, but I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And so I bought Fire Emblem Three Houses. I do not regret that decision. I've been absolutely obsessed with that game since I popped it in and started playing. Currently, I just started Chapter 16. But I'm gonna mainly just give my kind of raw, random, out there crazy thoughts about Part 1 of the Golden Deer route. So, Part 1, White Cloud. So, plenty of people have already been played through Three Houses multiple times, in fact, at this point. And that first major decision is, what house do you choose first? I really didn't have that problem, just because I've really not seen any gameplay, whether it be like little cutscenes for the story, or gameplay. I've seen very little gameplay and next to no story. So I really didn't know anything besides what the trailers before the game's release would tell you. Like, you know, you choose a house, you're their teacher, you bond with the students, do little activities at the monastery, go out into battle, do this and that. You know, the basics. And then I knew about the time skip because they were talking about that in the trailers and stuff too. But I didn't know any details leading up to the time skip or anything like that. So, first off, I want to say I'm surprised that I was able to go this long before playing the game without being spoiled about anything in the game. So that makes my reactions to what happens much more authentic, and I love that shit. But also, like I was saying, from what I saw and from what I was hearing about certain like characters, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna probably do Claude's route first. And I love Claude. Claude is awesome, alright? Claude is the type of person in real life that would be your best friend that would stick up for you no matter what the circumstances. He's an awesome character. He's also like probably like the most tactful character in the game. He is a brilliant tactician and strategist, and he always is able to keep his cool for the most part. And dude, he's just all around cool. He's dope. He's just fucking he's a dope character. He's a well-written character. He has a interesting background. He is the heir to House Regan, which is, you know, the head house of the Leicester Alliance. I know this might sound like jargon if you haven't played Three Houses and don't know much about the lore, but quick little breakdown that's not going to give you every detail. Pretty much, there will be spoilers in this too about the game, so you've been warned. Pretty much, the world of Three Houses takes place on this main large continent called Fodlan. And through Fodlan's history and its lore, it has been split into three main territories. That being the Adrostian Empire, which is the oldest standing kind of territory. It was there first, and the other two territories kind of used to sort of be a part of that, at least the kingdom part. But we have the Adrostian Empire. That's where the Black Eagle House is, and where your house leader would be Edelgard. And then you have the Kingdom of Fargus, which broke off from the Empire and became its own thing. And that is for the Blue Lion House, and your house leader for that would be Dimitri. So Edelgard uses axes, Dimitri uses a spear, and then after that, some territories that were owned by the Kingdom of Fargus break out into their own thing and become known as the Leicester Alliance. Their house, and they have, what is, I forget what their leader is called for the Alliance. They have, the Adrostian Empire has Empress, Fargus has a king. I forget what the Leicester Alliance had, but your house leader is Claude for the Golden Deer House. So that it's cool how the territories are split up and how they have that lore already set. So when the game starts off, you're pretty much getting your character. You just choose male or female. You can't really do any like character customization in this game, which isn't a big deal at all, honestly. It's just is what it is. It's like, didn't bother me at all. It just fits better with the story to not have that. So you just choose if you want to be a male or female Byleth. Then you choose their name if you don't want to be called Byleth. I named my character Kuwabara, because that's my nigga. And you choose your birthday. And they don't have birthdays like January, February. You know, it's fantasy world. They're all named after moons based on the lore throughout history and other stuff, mainly from the Adrostian Empire and the Church of Saros. So you start off, you're in this place, you're talking to this chick that looks like a child but says she's much older than that. She has kind of like these elf ears. And you seem to be linked somehow. You wake up, your dad's talking to you. You're pretty much mercenaries, and you're hired to do jobs, protecting people, this and that. And there's a camp nearby with a bunch of students from this officers' academy nearby, and they're being attacked, and they need help escaping. So you go and help them, and then and that's when you're introduced to the three house leaders: Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude. So pretty much this is your tutorial battle. Claude uses a bow, by the way. So it teaches you the basics, shows you how to move people around, guess characters, this and that. So then, as you help the kids escape, you learn about this thing you can do called, what is it called? Divine Pulse. Pretty much, the spirit in your head grants you this power to do this. And you can go back in time and fix things that, you know, not too far back, but, you know, like, the first example is you're about to die protecting, I think you were helping Edelgard not get killed, and you're about to get stabbed because you flinch in reaction instead of getting ready to defend yourself. So when she gives you that power to Divine Pulse back, it's like right before that, and instead of flinching and having your back turned when you're about to get fucking heaved by an axe, you're facing him and you know, counter off. So I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. And they make it a gameplay mechanic where pretty much in battles, especially this works if you're playing on Classic where there's permadeath, Divine Pulse is probably a godsend. For punk bitches like me who play casual, it just helps with experience grindings or winning a battle. Say you needed that unit to survive, or you wanted them to get more experience and you don't want to go back and restart the game to load up the file and start the battle again. You can just Divine Pulse back, and as the game progresses, you get more uses of it per battle. Like currently, I think I can use that shit like 13 times in one battle. So it's kind of a stomp, but you know what, you get it. And you can go back as many turns as necessary to redo things. Certain actions still will be executed, like they're locked in. Like say, for example, a character is to attack another unit, and let's say they have a 76 hit. Let's say they miss, and you're like, fuck, well, I don't want them to miss, so you Divine Pulse back. That already happened. In terms of like numbers like that and percentages of attacks on the same exact unit, if you were to do that again, you would still miss. Just like if you were to crit on a unit and then Divine Pulse back, attack that unit again, you would crit again. It's shit like that. Divine Pulse is for like, let's say, ooh, I shouldn't have had this person fight this person. Or, ooh, I shouldn't have left this person here because now they're open to attack or some shit like that. So when you Divine Pulse back, you say like, instead of this person fighting this person fight this, you actually have to shift things around from them to be different. So it doesn't promote kind of like cheesing of certain things. So it's something you quickly catch on to. But anywho, so you protect them, and this knight, Alois, this jolly fucking fellow, pulls up, and he's like, we're with the Church of Saros, boys. So the bandits, run away. And then he recognizes your dad. And he's like, Gerald, it's you. And your dad's like, oh, fuck, here we go. So your dad has some past stuff he's going to have to deal with. I probably won't get too deep in the spoilers into that. In fact, no, I'm not going to spoil it until at least I finish the main route. I'll try to be tiptoeing around major plot aspects, at the very least. So you guys end up going with Alois, that knight I was talking about, and the three house leaders, Claude, Edelgard, and Dimitri, to Garrett Monastery, because they're, traveling back to be safe. And you end up at the church, and you meet the Archbishop. The Archbishop is this woman named Lady Rhea, da-da-da-da-da. She's pretty much the leader of the church, this and that. You're talking to her, and your dad does not trust her for some reason. And they remark that they thought Gerald, like, died or something happened to him because he's been gone from the church since a fire that happened 20 years ago. But Alois said he's known your dad since when he was a kid. That's when he met him, when he was a young boy. Alois and Gerald look about the same age, which is weird if Alois met Gerald when he was a kid. And he's like, damn, Gerald, you haven't aged in like 20 years. It's crazy. So it's just like, what the fuck does that mean? So little secrets, little details. And he doesn't trust Rhea, so you automatically have, don't trust the fucking church kind of thing. So they want you to, pretty much what happens is Rhea wants you to be assigned as a new professor at the school to help with the students since they're impressed with your skills and work as a mercenary. You're the son of Gerald, who used to be a legendary knight captain of the Knights of Saros, which are the Knights of the Church of Saros. And so you have the potential and the skills, and Rhea's like, be a professor here. And Rhea's little, like, second in command, like, little attendant dude, Sedif, doesn't like the idea. He doesn't trust you. I thought Sedif was a douche, but he definitely grew on me throughout the game, which is what one of my friends said. It's like, dude, just talk to him. Deep down, he's a nice dude. And he is. Sedif's a cool dude. It's that bitch Rhea I don't trust. But, yeah, so your first day, you kind of get to walk around the school, and you get to talk to everybody, talk to all the students, get to know certain details about each of the houses, and then by the end of that, meet the other teachers. You meet Manuela, who is also the nurse at the school, and she's, kind of like a late middle-aged woman, beautiful lady. She used to be an opera singer, and she's a drunk who's desperate for a man, so it's kind of sad, but kind of beautiful. And then Hanneman's the other teacher. He studies, like, crests, which are these abilities passed on through bloodlines from different noble families, from these ancient heroes of legend. A lot of plot stuff. It would take me forever to, like, get into real exact detail about it. But you're introduced to him and Manuela and Hanneman and all that stuff. So then finally Rhea's like, what house do you want to be a part of? And then you choose which of the three houses you're with. So the cool part about this is that when you pick a house, you're locked into that house. So I picked Golden Deer, of course. But of course, this promotes multiple playthroughs to see the story unfold from different perspectives and have different characters and this and that. It is possible to recruit almost everyone to your team in one route. It's very improbable, but it is possible. It's probably not possible on your first playthrough. But by the way, like, New Game Plus works from what I've seen online, it is possible to do it in later playthroughs. It becomes a lot easier. But what happens is, when you pick your house, like I picked Golden Deer, so automatically the characters I have available to me are the 8 characters that are in the Golden Deer house. So Claude, and then you have essentially his, like, kind of second in command, which is Hilda. And Hilda is like this little pink-haired girl. She's very, like, preppy but lazy. She doesn't like to do a lot of things. She uses her looks and her charms to get other people to do stuff for her. She doesn't actually want to be on the battlefield. She likes to be on the sidelines. Even though she's probably one of your most beefy units in Golden Deer House, like, she fucking wrecks. She definitely is a warrior route kind of character, swinging a huge-ass axe. But you find out through little story bits and bonding with her that it's actually because she's afraid to let people down, so she just wants to not put herself out there at all. So I'm like, aw, Hilda. So you have Hilda, you have Lorenz, who is like this noble from a very distinguished family in the Leicester Alliance. He does not like Claude, because Claude is kind of new to the nobility. He's like the long-lost heir to House Regan, which is the lead house of the Alliance. So he's like, yeah, why do you get to be next in line to rule the Alliance? It should be me, this and that. And he's kind of douchey, because you kind of think like, oh, he's just, this kind of douchebag noble. But it's more like when you get to know him deep down, he just kind of
takes the idea of nobility seriously, and he really wants to be a good person and help. You get to know the characters. Like, I love this group of kids a lot through knowing them. Leonie is a commoner girl who got into the school, and she is Geralt's first apprentice, and she will never let you forget that she is Geralt's first apprentice. She's just like, Geralt trained me. She's completely obsessed with your father. Like, she met him when she was a kid because him and his mercenary group protected her village one day, and then he like taught her some stuff, which is why she wants to go to the officer academy and then afterwards become a mercenary. She wants to be just like Geralt. So she's cool. Like, when she's not talking about Geralt, she's actually a very nice and interesting character. It's just like, girl, he's my dad. Like, I don't care what you have to say. But yeah, she's cool. Marianne is depressed. Marianne is this blue hair girl in my house. She is completely depressed. She is your white mage, but you can train her up. Like, I eventually made her a dancer, so she does like her white magic and dancing skills, and she's also skilled with a sword now too. She's dope late game. Like, her character development is fucking great. I love Marianne a lot. She is extremely depressed though. She has her reasons to be, and she's very shy. She doesn't like talking much. She doesn't like interacting with people. She gets nervous. She likes to run off from a conversation. She doesn't like to help because it's kind of similar to the thing with Hilda, where she feels like she'll fuck up and make things worse. But I think with Hilda's case, she felt like she didn't want to, in a sense, live in her older brother's shadow, because her older brother's like this great hero. So, but with Marianne, she's just scared to mess up and make things worse. She puts herself down a lot, which is sad. But as the story progresses, you see her smiling more and laughing more. And as an adult, she still is kind of that character, like a little shy and stuff. But she definitely is more willing to put herself out there and change as a person, which is great. Raphael's another commoner. He's from a merchant family, but he himself even knows that he's not too smart. So instead of, his parents died in an accident, and instead of like, taking over their business, since he's not intelligent enough to do that, he sold all their valuables to get into the officers academy and become a knight, because he's a big dude. He's a big kind of like buff, strong dude. So he's like, I'll be a knight, make money, help my sister and my grandfather out, which is what he's dumb, but he means well. His heart's in the right place, and he is strong as shit. He wallops people on the battlefield. He's a grappler kind of character. Then you have Ignatz. Ignatz. I don't want to. It sounds like I'm saying Ignatz, but he's a little merchant kid too. He's also kind of like a commoner. His family and Raphael's family knew each other, so Raphael, and Raphael's little sister all knew each other back when they were kids, so they kind of have like this nice little bond. Ignatz is becoming a knight because, for his family pretty much, for family, get some more money, be successful, this and that, and that's what they want of him. But his true passion is, painting and art, and he wears these glasses. He kind of always wants to help and be helpful and likes doing art. He's kind of a very kind, soft person, soft-spoken person. Likes the beauty of the world because he likes, to paint it and all of that. And though all the characters want to push him to being an artist a lot of the time, he's like, no, I gotta be a knight. Painting will probably just remain a hobby. I hope he becomes an artist. I made him an assassin. He's fucking awesome as an assassin. He just looks dope. And he's just a nice, lovable character. And I hope he succeeds in all his dreams. Lysithea is the youngest character in your house and the youngest character in the officer academy, at least. She is 15 at the start of the game. She is like great at magic, especially like kind of the black magic stuff, like reason is what it's called in here. And though she's the youngest, she probably is one of the more mature characters in the game. She doesn't like being called a little kid. She's very smart. She's like this natural born prodigy. And there's also some mystery going on with her because she has 2 crests. You can kind of learn more about it later and learn more about her health. She feels like she's not going to be around very long, to be very old and shit like that. It's stuff you learn as you actually take the time to bond with her character, whether that be with you being Byleth or other characters interacting with her. She used to annoy the shit out of me at first. But she definitely grew on me. Definitely grew on me. And that's everyone, I believe, right? Because I talked about Claude already. Lorenz, Raphael, Ignatz, Hilda, Leonie, Marianne, Lysithia. Yep, that's your house. But, so you got all those kids. Those are my personal feelings about them, just because those are the characters I've interacted with the most. I won't speak about the kids from the other classes too much, because I hadn't interacted with them much. But what you can do is, if you take the time to like bond with the students from other classes and do certain activities, and you have certain stats and skills that kind of coincide with their own, you can eventually recruit them to join your house. That takes effort to do, and like I said, since you have to have like certain skills and stuff as well that suit their interest, you're probably not going to get all of them in one playthrough, but you can pick and choose and kind of figure out what they like and get them to join your house. But you have to do it all within part 1. Because once you get to part 2, stuff happens and everyone's on different sides depending on their house. So you can't recruit people after that. So you have to do it before. So if you wanted somebody, you better do it in part 1. You better put in that time and effort to figure it out. Especially if you're trying to romance people. You got to do it then. But, yeah, because you will be forced to see them on the battlefield and kill them. I'm not going to say who, but in chapter 15, I believe, yeah, the chapter 15 fight, there is one of the students that was older. They were, older, their adult form, because it's a 5-year time skip after what happens in chapter 12 goes down. And he was an enemy, and I took him out, and he's dead. And I was like, fuck. I felt bad because, like I said, I didn't really bond with the other students too much. I think I'm more going to focus on my own class through my first initial playthroughs of each house. And then, like I said, when I do my true route, I'll try to get as many students and characters as I possibly can on my side, kind of for like that finality of that route, so I don't have to kill people. But this route, I didn't do that as much. But I did, just by circumstance, raise my support level with this character a good chunk. So I was just like, oh, I actually kind of liked you, dude. I'm sorry. So I took them out. But that's going to be one of the things that's probably going to weigh heavy on people's minds. Like, let's say if you were trying to recruit people, and maybe a few of them you didn't get in time before the time skip. So then you see them on the battlefield. You're going to feel bad because you're probably going to have to kill them. And you know what? I probably could have spared him in that fight. Now that I really think about it. Because the goal was to take out the enemy commander. So if I took out the commander, I wouldn't have to kill the person. The fight would just end and maybe they get away or something like that. Or maybe you could spare them and they join I don't know. But I didn't intentionally attack him. He attacked me, and my character countered and killed him. He attacked Claude. Claude Timeskip is a godly unit. He's just powerful as fuck, and he hits crits real heavy. So homeboy attacked Claude, and Claude countered and crit shot him. Like one shot, bro. One arrow. I was like, damn. So I guess I won't go out of my way to kill these people. I'll say that much at least. Because it doesn't feel right. Especially for, like, the Golden Deer House, the way I look at those characters. But if they step to me and they get countered and killed, well, they stepped to me and got countered and killed. It's not my fault. But I won't go out of my way to attack them unless it's, like, kind of like a victory condition or some shit. So, it is what it is. In this... Because I'm going to feel bad when I do the Blue Lion and Black Eagle routes, because I'm going to have to kill my kids from the Luster Alliance probably if I don't recruit them. That shit going to break my heart. Also, there's certain characters, excuse me, you can't recruit depending on what house you pick. Like I said, you can recruit the students from other houses if you so choose. But, like, let's say I pick Golden Deer. I can get all the students from Black Eagle or Blue Lion except the house leaders because it goes against the plot. So if I pick Claude's route, I can't recruit Dimitri or Edelgard. If I pick Edelgard, I can't recruit Claude or Dimitri. If I pick Dimitri, I can't recruit Edelgard or Claude. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can never do that. Like, you can't recruit them to your cause at that point because they're the house leaders. But you also can't recruit their second in commands. Like, they're like little right-hand men. So, not only could I not recruit Edelgard, I can't recruit Hubert because that's her second in command. It goes against the plot. And with Dimitri, I couldn't recruit, what's his name? Dedu as well, because I think his name is pronounced Dedu, because that's his second in command. With the Golden Deer route, they don't outright say Hilda is Claude's like second in command or right hand man, but she's always kind of there, being there like that. So if you do that, you can't recruit Claude or Hilda. So there's certain characters you'll never be able to recruit if you pick one route over the other. There's those characters are guaranteed, and then there's certain characters that only join you depending on what house you've picked. In its later story stuff. Like, I know if you pick the Blue Lion house, that's how you get Gilbert. That's the only way you can get Gilbert to join you, because that's just how it is. He joins you at the start of chapter 13, I believe is what I saw them look up. When I was looking up stuff, I didn't try to spoil myself. I was just like, how do you recruit him? Because I recruited the other Knights of Saros. And with the Knights of Saros and the teachers, your level just has to be high enough. Honestly, once you're a high enough level, like you're physically strong enough, they'll just join you. So I got all of them, and Cyril. Cyril is like this little squire under one of the knights, and he's like obsessed with Lady Rhea as well. But other than that, he's a very honest, nice kid, and I like Cyril, so I recruited him. So I got Hanneman, Manuela, Catherine, who I'm romancing this route, Shamir, Alois, Cyril, and then Sedith and Flane as well. But yeah, you can only get Gilbert if you play the Blue Eagles, and then there's this character named Juritza or Juritz. Through a DLC update, he joins your party in the Black Eagle route. He's recruitable. And then for the Golden Deer, you kind of get a character like that named Judith, who just joined up. But Judith isn't playable, which kind of bums me out. Only because they hyped Judith up to be like this hero of her like house, like this really powerful warrior lady. And she looks dope and she seems dope and she's really cool and I like her. But you cannot recruit her. I looked it up to see if you could. You can't. And I was like, that's kind of whack. If Yuritsa can be recruited through DLC updates, they should have a DLC update that lets you have Judith. I'm just saying. And Yuritsa got added as a DLC update for the Black Eagle route due to some story stuff. I won't spoil it. But pretty much, for the most part, Part 1 plays the same regardless of house. Just, looking at certain plot aspects from different angles, depending on the house, of course. But once you get to Chapter 12, something happens, and it leads to a big old battle. And then there's a 5-year time skip. And then after the 5-year time skip, you reunite with, like, your class and whatnot. And it is total fucking war between, like, the three. Like, a lot of shit happens. Somebody does some shit, and it leads to full-scale war. I won't try to spoil it any further than that. So, that's just why during the time skip, where you're doing the battles then, like, you'll run into the former students older, and you might have to kill them. So, it goes down like that. But, as you can see from me talking about all the little details, and there's other stuff that I haven't even touched on, like the little activities you can do around the monastery to increase bonds and shit like that. The White Clouds part, the Part 1 alone, is so much content, and then you still have to do the Part 2s. And then there's still 2 other routes you have to do after you do your first playthrough, and the Black Eagle route has another split in it. So it's just like, fuck, dude. There's a lot of options to choose from. And the whole thing with New Game Plus is that a lot of certain aspects carry over, and then you can get like this stuff called Renown through doing certain missions and quests and doing other activities. And that stuff Renown will carry over, and you can use the Renown in New Game Plus to purchase certain things, such as boosting certain skill stats earlier, unlocking certain things earlier, shit like that. So I'm just like, that's super neat, which is how recruiting other people and doing other things in the New Game Plus playthroughs becomes a lot easier, which makes it more plausible to be able to recruit as many people as possible in one route. But you'll never be able to recruit every single playable character into one route, just because, like I said, some of them are locked through story, like Edelgard, Dedue, Claude, Hilda. I said Edelgard, Dedue, Edelgard and Hubert, Claude and Hilda, Dimitri and Dedue, Gilbert, you're in Yuritsa. They're all locked through certain plot, so you can't have like all those people playable in one route together. It just won't happen. But you get the students, which is kind of the main people I would like to save over anything. Like, I want to keep the kiddies safe. But I'll see what happens when I play. Oh my god, that was awful. I'm sorry. I got over my cough, but I think, I don't know, I breathed wrong. But like, all of a sudden I was just like, oh, cough. I guess that was just a natural occurrence. But I'll see what happens as I play through the rest of this run, and I'll give like, I think once I finish the Golden Deer House stuff, like this playthrough, then I'll probably do like a spoiler review kind of retrospective of that house route and talk about it and actually go into more detail about, especially a lot of the spoily stuff. Like, there's some crazy plot twists that just are much better if you play the game, so I highly recommend it. But if you don't do that by the time I start talking about Fire Emblem Three Houses again, just be warned, the next time I do talk about Three Houses, I'm probably spoiling shit, so maybe skip that podcast. Because I will be talking about some major stuff in it. A lot of crazy little twists and turns. Also, the DLC. The DLC is great, and it doesn't spoil too much plot, as long as you get to a certain point in the game. I say, like, once you get to, like, I want to say, like, Chapter 6, Chapter 7, you can play the DLC comfortably without being spoiled, I think. I would say even, like, Chapter 5, maybe. I haven't finished it yet. I still have to do the last, like, fight, the very last fight at Chapter 7. The DLC is 7 chapters. It's a separate side story in continuity from your main game file. And you have, like, set characters to play through it. So, you have Byleth, Dimitri, Edelgard, Claude, and then, Hilda, Ash. That's why I liked Ash, too. That's why I liked certain characters. And I think his name is Limbard or something like that. And then the 4 DLC characters from that 4th house. And there's certain things that are set and locked in it to make it more challenging. There's things to make... Because the DLC is hard, dude. It's harder than the main game, on normal at least. I don't know about playing the main game on higher difficulties, but playing the DLC on normal is harder than playing the main game on normal. Like, these missions, these battles, were made to be harder than the main game. That's why they were released after the fact. Because by the time, if you've already played the game, by the time the DLC comes out, you've already probably played all the routes. So you're more experienced. So I played it before I finished Chapter 11. And I was like, oh, I could have played this earlier. It didn't spoil that much. But they're hard. So I just got to do the final boss. I just got tired. And I didn't want to continue fighting the boss because I fucked up. And I was like, oh, I'm going to lose. But and I didn't feel like doing it again. Because some of those missions took some time. Especially Chapter 4. Fuck the Chapter 4 mission in that DLC. And I had already done Chapter 3, 4, 5, and 6 that same day. So I was just like, I'm cool. I'll do 7 another time. Probably like either right before I finish my Golden Deer route or after I'll do that DLC. But it's hard, dude. It's a challenge. But it has a nice story. I really like the story, and I really enjoy the 4 new characters that become playable in your main game. And to unlock them in the main game, when you beat Chapter 1 of the DLC, you unlock a little area in your main game, and you can talk to those students. And to recruit them, you just have to play through the DLC story. So I think like every like 2 chapters, you get another one of those characters available to be recruited in your main game. So by the time you finish chapter 6, all 4 of them are available to play as. So that's another reason why I was like, I'll just keep playing the story now too, because I have them unlocked. They're fun characters. The special classes are fun, and they do have time skip update designs, so that's awesome too. And they are romanceable as well. So boom, 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 all that shit. But yeah, I'll talk more about that stuff once I finish at least this first route, and that's when we'll get into spoilers. But I'm gonna end the podcast here. Just a little rambling thing, just talking about what I've been doing when I'm on quarantine, while being on like this whole quarantine shit. Hopefully things change up soon. Hopefully, or at the very least, I can get some more hours at work. But I'll keep chilling, playing games, doing my thing. Hopefully you guys have a nice time doing whatever you're doing during quarantine. And what we'll be talking about next week, I don't know. We'll find out. But thanks for listening. Sorry about that first 17 minutes of awful sounding audio. Probably won't go back and edit it. I'll just leave it alone. It's whatever at this point. But thanks for listening, guys, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.
Cause I'm just a little lost, keep off topic. And if we're on the topic, then yes, I lost it. Don't worry about me, I'm not sinking. It's just after every thought you got me thinking. And I'm just a little lost, keep off topic. And if we're on the topic, hell yes, I lost it. Don't worry about me, I'm not sinking. It's just after every thought you got me thinking. You got me thinking. You got me thinking. You got me. You got me. You got me thinking. You got me thinking. You got me. You got me.